Popular Durban spoken word artist Iain Ewok Robinson. Ewok, good morning, welcome.
Yes, morning.
Let's talk about, very quickly, just for those that don't know, and just how much you know about Musho, and just a little bit about the history. Why is this such an amazing event to be part of?
I think if you're from Durban, one of the most amazing things about Musho is that it's still here. You know, Durban seems to have a problem with what we call sticking power. And 10 years ago, when the Musho directors and the organizers threw down the gauntlet to Durban artists and said, here's a platform, what have you got? I think a lot of people kind of hustled, very quickly looked around and said, we've got to have something, this is a chance for us. And it's been the case every year now, around about this time, that everybody's looking at each other going, so you're at Musho this year? No, maybe not this year. Or someone will turn around, yeah, I've been working on something this year. It's a platform that basically came out, opened itself up to the artists, and every year has just been there for us. So it's very exciting for us to see what we've been up to over the year, what we've been creating, what might be coming in the new year and whatever. It's a great way to kickstart the year, you know?
I can only imagine with 10 years and so many artists performing and so many new pieces on Showcase that there could be so many highlights. But what is the one highlight for you that if you had to reflect over the last 10 years that you could go, wow, that was a great moment?
I met my wife at the first Musho festival, and a little while later, she's also an actress. But I mean, that's no joke. For me, it was a special moment. She was there for the same reasons. We were young performers. It was an amazing platform for us. Beginning of the year, a very exciting time for artists and whatever. And you know, for one reason or another, you know, we managed to click at the first Musho. You know.
Okay, so Musho brings people together. Talk to me very quickly about the 1 and 2 person theatre. For those, some of our viewers sitting at home, they want to know, what is the 1 and 2 person theatre about?
Well, a one-person show is a show where there's a solo performer on stage. Obviously, with any theatre show, it can never be one person on stage. There's a lot of off-stage stuff happening, whether it's your director or your lighting technician or whoever it may be. But the deal is that on stage, the actual performer is either a one-person or a two-person makeup that's on the stage. And it takes a different style when you're alone on stage, when you're a solo artist on stage. It takes a lot more focus, as it were. And even when it's just the two of you playing off each other, it's not the same as for like an ensemble cast. If you were to go and watch any of the big shows that are on at the moment, maybe the pantomimes or anything, where you're looking at anywhere between 8 to 14 people on stage at the same time, there's a much more of a team aspect there. But when it's you alone on stage as a solo performer, you're having to, for want of a better word, play with yourself.
You talked about this being kind of the one event that artists in Durban look forward to, and as kind of a benchmark to see what people have been up to, and maybe what the standard for the year will be like. Talk to me about your own preparation as an artist. I mean, it's a big festival for you. It kicks off your year. What are you expecting from 2015?
Well, I've started working on a new piece. Unfortunately, it's not going to be ready for Musho this year, but the style of theatre that I perform, which is a spoken word hip-hop theatre, it was, for me, birthed at Musho. Musho created that platform for me, and I started working it 10 years ago, using lyricism and spoken word to create, I suppose, you know, entertaining pieces of theatre, but that started to delve into narrative and started to delve into more traditional theatre forms. And this year I'm using Musho to basically as a retrospective of all of the work that I've put on there. I've put on about 5 different shows at Musho over the 10 years, and I'm taking some of my favorite pieces from those and I'm putting them all together so that I can, for myself, put out a sort of a retrospective and say, this is what I've done up until now, and then I can pack it away and start really putting in the work for what I'm going to be bringing to the stage this year. Yeah.
I can only imagine that, you know, when you're doing a retrospective, it's easy to say, I'm going to take from work I've done, but you were in different mindsets and emotional states at the time of when you put those pieces together. How do you now create a balance so that they all interlink and they make sense to your audience?
I think the style that I have is very much, it lends itself to that sort of performance. A spoken word as a sort of a style. It takes sort of a similar sort of angle as stand-up comedy might be, you know, with a sort of the links in between spoken word pieces, which operate as kind of like selected segments or scenes or monologues from a show, the links in between them are very, very open, and I'm able to interact with the audience, talk to them, freestyle a little bit, and just sort of create the links myself. All of my shows have been about finding those links between disparate pieces that might not have any obvious links between them. That's how I've created these shows. So basically what I'm going to be doing this year is what I first set out to do with my first show in Musho, which was called One Mind, One Mouth, One Mic, which was just taking 14 separate spoken word pieces and seeing if I could just run them straight and find links between them that meant that there was a fluidity that turned it into one overall spoken word piece. So yeah, there's a little bit of I'm not I'm not joking around. I have to kind of take it a little bit seriously in among the holiday sort of atmosphere. I need to sit down, put my set together and whatever, but it is a style that I am very comfortable with, largely because the platform that I'm doing it on, the Musho Festival, is a place that I feel very much at home. So there will be an element of improvisation towards my performance this year, but there is a scripted sense that I like to think links it to that sort of more traditional theatre form.
With that being said, very quickly as we wrap up the interview, some of the highlights at Musho in 2015, why do you have to buy that ticket and come and check it out?
I think either if you are someone who has never been to Musho before and this is your first introduction to Musho, you're going to be getting the cream of the crop. You're going to be getting everything that Musho is about. Everything from master classes where you can learn about the forms that are being presented, to community outreach style theatre where artists have connected with people that aren't as fortunate and able to have platforms like this or access to these platforms. And then of course you're going to be getting the professional artists that have been doing it for the last 10 years coming and representing. So if you've never been to Musho, this is exactly what Musho is about. This is the essence of Musho once again, and we're celebrating that. And then if you have been to Musho, you're going to be seeing old faces that you know presenting new work that you love.
I love it. Ewok, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining me from our Durban studios. That, of course, is spoken word artist. A little bit more than that, maybe. A bit of a hip-hop lyricist as well. Ewok Robinson talking to us about the Musho Festival that will be happening at the Catalina Theatre. And that, of course, will be, it'll be celebrating its 10th anniversary. Can you believe it? That, of course, at Wilson's Wharf in Durban from the 14th to the 19th of December.